Pollution Control Board, CPCB, has introduced a revised classification system for industries, which includes a new blue category for essential environmental services, aiming to incentivize sectors like waste management and biomining. Classification methodology. The classification is based on the Pollution Index, PI, by CPCB, which classifies industries based on their pollution potential, considering air, water, and waste pollutants. The categories include red, PI greater than 80, orange, 55 is less than or equal to PI less than 80, green, PI less than 25, and blue, for essential environmental services. Blue category covers industries like landfill maintenance, biomining, and waste-to-energy plants. They will receive a 2-year extension for their consent to operate as an incentive for environmental management. Despite a high PI, 97.6, waste-to-energy plants are categorized as blue due to the essential environmental service they provide. CBG, compressed biogas, plants, depending on their feedstock, are also eligible for blue category status. CPCB. It is a statutory organization, constituted under the Water, Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, 1974. Further, CPCB was entrusted with the powers and functions under the Air, Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, 1981. It provides technical services to the Ministry of Environment, Forests, and Climate Change under the Environment Protection Act, 1986. Kashmir's spring blooms. Source: TH. Kashmir's distinct agroclimatic conditions nurture a wide variety of endemic plants, especially spring blooms, which are crucial for the valley's biodiversity and cultural heritage. Distinct agroclimatic conditions. Kashmir's altitudinal variations, 1,600 meters to 4,500 meters, support diverse spring blooms like Colchicum luteum, Virchow, Sternbergia vernalis, Gold Tour, and Viburnum grandiflorum, Culmanche, thriving due to its harsh winters and mild springs. Ecological and cultural significance. These spring blooms provide vital ecosystem services by supporting pollinators essential for fruit tree pollination. They also have cultural significance, being used medicinally and deeply rooted in Kashmiri folklore. Threats. Unsustainable development, deforestation, and human encroachment threaten these spring blooms. Climate change is altering blooming patterns, causing premature flowering, disrupting natural seasonal cycles. Despite their importance, there are no dedicated conservation programs for spring blooms. Current protection comes from national parks like Salim Ali and wildlife sanctuaries like Gulmarg Wildlife Sanctuary. Shift from globalism to regionalism. For prelims, globalism, regionalism, minilateralism, European Union, ASEAN, SAARC, BIMSTEC, IORA, BBIN, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and the Kaladan Multimodal Transit Transport Project, Indian Ocean Region, International Buddhist Conclave, Revival of Nalanda University, Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, Neighborhood First Policy. For mains, India's significance in South Asia, key issues hindering India's active engagements in South Asia. YN News. The global order is shifting from universalist globalism to interest-driven regionalism and minilateralism, as nations increasingly prefer smaller coalitions over multilateral institutions. How is the world shifting from globalism to regionalism? Global conflicts and institutional paralysis. Ongoing conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Gaza crisis have exposed the limited efficacy of global governance structures. UN Security Council deadlocks, often due to great power rivalries, have eroded faith in multilateral conflict resolution. Rise of regionalism and minilateralism. Regionalism is marked by geographically and culturally aligned partnerships, while minilateralism involves smaller, interest-based groups like the Quad, and I2U2 for focused cooperation. The EU evolved from the European Economic Community, and initiatives like ASEAN, SAARC, BIMSTEC, and IORA reflect regionalism, though with varied success. Emerging flexible coalitions like Quad, BRICS, and IMEC promote strategic autonomy, faster decision-making, and targeted cooperation in areas such as security, technology, and infrastructure. Reassertion of national sovereignty. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed global supply chain vulnerabilities and unequal vaccine access, reinforcing the idea that national preparedness trumps global solidarity. Countries began to prioritize self-reliance, health sovereignty, and economic resilience over global integration. Historical disillusionment. Developing countries, including India, have criticized the unequal power dynamics in global institutions like the WTO, IMF, and World Bank. The lack of reforms has led nations to seek alternative platforms like BRICS and AIIB. India's strategic recalibration. India is actively engaging in regional initiatives like BIMSTEC and IORA, while also strengthening minilateral engagements. This reflects a pragmatic shift in foreign policy from idealistic multilateralism to interest-driven regional cooperation and strategic partnerships. What is India's role in regional integration? Anchor of regional connectivity. India plays a central role in promoting cross-border infrastructure and trade corridors like BBIN, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and the Caledon Multimodal Transit Transport Project to improve economic and physical connectivity in South Asia. Security provider and humanitarian responder. India's role as a net security provider through naval presence in the Indian Ocean region and disaster relief missions like Operation Maitri, Nepal, and Operation Brahma, Myanmar, strengthens its strategic credibility and deepens regional trust. Trade and investment hub. As the largest economy in South Asia, India serves as a trade and investment anchor for neighboring countries, offering preferential trade arrangements and extending lines of credit and development assistance. In 2023, India's trade with ASEAN reached approximately $101.9 billion United States dollars, accounting for 2.86% of total ASEAN trade. Shared cultural and democratic values. India promotes shared cultural and democratic values through initiatives like the International Buddhist Conclave, revival of Nalanda University, and support to post-conflict democracies, reinforcing its civilizational influence. Projects like the Buddhist Circuit and South Asian University foster regional cultural ties, enhance mutual understanding, and help counter anti-India narratives in neighboring countries. What are the key challenges to India's regional integration efforts? Perception of hegemony. Smaller South Asian nations often perceive India's dominance as overbearing, leading to mistrust and reluctance in embracing India-led initiatives, thereby limiting the effectiveness of regional cooperation. Bilateral political tensions. The enduring Kashmir dispute with Pakistan and unresolved border tensions with China, such as the 2020 Galwan Valley standoff, continue to strain India's regional relations. These conflicts often trigger military confrontations and diplomatic deadlocks, diverting focus from collaborative regional development initiatives. Ongoing hostilities and strained ties have weakened SAARC and hindered regional multilateralism. Asymmetry in economic capabilities. South Asia's vast economic disparities hinder policy alignment and equitable integration. Intra-regional trade remains low at around 5%, far below ASEAN's 25%. Stalled SAARC. While initiatives like BBIN and projects like the India-Nepal Pancheshwar multi-purpose project continue to face significant delays. China's strategic entrenchment. China's growing presence in South Asia through the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and infrastructure diplomacy poses a strategic counterweight to India's regional leadership, complicating India's integration agenda. Way forward. Revive and reform regional institutions. India should spearhead the institutional revitalization of BIMSTEC and IORA through regular summits, greater funding, and functional secretariats, while promoting sector-specific cooperation in trade, energy, disaster management, and digital connectivity. Strengthen sub-regional partnerships. India should deepen engagement through platforms like BBIN and promote functional minilaterals focused on health, education, and green energy, especially when SAARC consensus is lacking. Boost regional trade and connectivity. Enhancing trade through simplified customs, shared standards, and integrated transport and digital infrastructure can foster economic interdependence and regional stability. Foster inclusive engagement. To counter rising external influence, India must lead with transparent development aid, cultural diplomacy, and people-centric initiatives under the Neighborhood First policy. Drishti Main's question. Critically examine India's evolving role in fostering regional integration and navigating strategic coalitions to safeguard its national and neighborhood interests. UPSC Civil Services Examination. Previous year questions. PYQs. Prelims. Q. With reference to Look East policy of India, consider the following statements. 2011. 1. India wants to establish itself as an important regional player in East Asian affairs. 2. India wants to plug the vacuum created by the termination of the Cold War. And 3. India wants to restore the historical and cultural ties with its neighbors in Southeast and East Asia. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 3 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. And D. Mains. Q. China is using its economic relations and positive trade surplus as tools to develop potential military power status in Asia. In the light of this statement, discuss its impact on India as her neighbor. 2017. 10th anniversary of Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. YN News. On 8 April 2025, the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, PMMY, completed 10 years since its launch in 2015. It has been pivotal in providing collateral-free financial support to micro and small enterprises, MSEs, across India. What are the key achievements of PMMY? Credit outreach. Since 2015, over 32.61 lakh rupees crore has been disbursed through 52 crore loans, including 100 plus million first-time borrowers. MSME lending rose from 8.5 lakh rupees crore, FY14, to 27.25 lakh rupees crore, FY24, with its share in bank credit growing from 15.8% to nearly 20%. Inclusive financial access. Women constitute 68% of PMMY beneficiaries. From FY16 to FY25, per woman loan disbursement rose at a CAGR of 13% and deposits at 14%. Half of the PMMY accounts are held by SC, ST, and OBC entrepreneurs, and 11% by minorities, as per SBI. Pandemic support. A 2% interest subvention on Shishu loans under Atmanirbhar Bharat helped prevent defaults and protect livelihoods during COVID-19. Maturing credit demand. More borrowers are moving from small Shishu loans, declined from 92% to 63%, to higher Kishore, rose from 5.9% to 44.7%, and to Rune categories. Regional reach. Tamil Nadu, up, and Karnataka lead in total PMMY disbursals, Tripura, Odisha, and Tamil Nadu top in per capita loans. J&K leads UTs in loan disbursal, while Bihar and West Bengal reflect untapped potential. What is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, PMMY? About. Mudra, Micro-Units Development and Refinance Agency, is a flagship scheme of the Government of India, launched in 2015 to provide affordable, collateral-free institutional credit through member lending institutions, MLIs. Key features. Type. Central Sector Scheme. Funding provision. Loans are extended through member lending institutions, MLIs, such as scheduled commercial banks, RRBs, NBFCs, and MFIs. Refinancing. Managed by Mudra Limited. Micro-Units Development and Refinance Agency, which refinances MLIs but does not lend directly to borrowers. Credit Guarantee. Provided via the Credit Guarantee Fund for Micro-Units, CGFMU, set up in 2015. Other benefits. No processing fees, no collateral, easy access to credit, and flexible repayment terms. Mudra Card, a debit card issued against the loan account to meet working capital needs. Loan categories. UPSC Civil Services Examination Previous Year Question, PYQ. Q. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana is aimed at 2016. A. Bringing the small entrepreneurs into formal financial system. B. Providing loans to poor farmers for cultivating particular crops. C. Providing pensions to old and destitute persons. D. Funding the voluntary organizations involved in the promotion of skill development and employment generation. And A. India-Sri Lanka relations. For prelims, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, Vesak Day, Foreign Direct Investment, SLINEX, Mitra Shakti, Belt and Road Initiative. For Mains, India-Sri Lanka Relations and Challenges, India's Neighborhood First Policy. YN News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Sri Lanka resulted in the signing of 7 memorandums of understanding, MOUs, with the Sri Lankan president. This visit underscores India's commitment to its neighborhood first policy and aligns with the MAHASAGAR vision aimed at fostering regional security and growth. What are the key highlights of the India-Sri Lanka bilateral talks? Sri Lanka Mitra Vibhushan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was awarded the Sri Lanka Mitra Vibhushan, the country's highest civilian honor. The award includes a citation and a silver medal adorned with Navaratna, 9 Sri Lankan gems. The medal features a Pun Kalasa, symbol of prosperity, sun and moon, eternity, and a Dharma Chakra, reflecting the shared Buddhist heritage. Defense cooperation. India and Sri Lanka signed a landmark 5-year defense MOU, an umbrella agreement aimed at structuring joint exercises, maritime surveillance, and defense industry collaboration. Sri Lanka reaffirmed Sri Lanka's commitment to ensuring that its territory will not be used against India's interests. Energy and infrastructure. The two sides agreed on the India-Sri Lanka grid interconnection for electricity trade. Additionally, a tripartite MOU involving the United Arab Emirates was signed to develop Trincomalee, Sri Lanka, as an energy hub, including the construction of a multi-product energy pipeline. Development and finance. India also converted over $100 million United States dollars in loans into grants and reduced interest rates on other loans to support Sri Lanka's debt restructuring. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched key projects in Sri Lanka, including the refurbished Maho-Omantai railway line, supported by Indian assistance of $91.27 million United States dollars, the Sampur solar power project, and a solar rooftop initiative for 5,000 religious sites in Sri Lanka, with India's credit assistance of $17 million United States dollars, generating 25 megawatts of green energy. Cultural and religious diplomacy. The PM announced that relics of Lord Buddha found in Gujarat's Aravalli would be sent to Sri Lanka for exposition during the Vesak Day celebrations in May 2025. How have relations between India and Sri Lanka been? Trade and commerce. India is one of Sri Lanka's top trade partners, and vice versa within South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC. The 1998 Free Trade Agreement, FTA, boosted trade to $5.5 billion United States dollars in 2023-24, with India's exports at $4.1 billion United States dollars and Sri Lanka's at $1.4 billion United States dollars. India is a key foreign direct investment, FDI, contributor to Sri Lanka, with cumulative investments of $2.25 billion United States dollars till 2023. Tourism and connectivity. India is the leading source of tourists to Sri Lanka, around 4.16 lakh in 2024, approximately 20% of 2.05 million. Sri Lanka's adoption of India's UPI and use of the rupee for trade settlement boost fintech connectivity. Development cooperation. India has extended over $7 billion United States dollars in credit and $780 million United States dollars in grants to Sri Lanka. During Sri Lanka's 2022 crisis, India provided nearly $4 billion United States dollars in aid, and India also supported Sri Lanka during the COVID-19 pandemic with vaccines and medical supplies. Defense and security cooperation. Key bilateral exercises include SLINEX, Navy, and Mitra Shakti, Army, held alternately in both countries. India acts as a first responder for Sri Lanka in the field of humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, as seen in the MV Express Pearl incident, 2021, the container ship fire disaster causing significant environmental damage. Cultural and civilizational ties. Deep-rooted Buddhist and Hindu ties, including the sacred Jayashri Maha Bodhi tree, highlight strong cultural bonds. India supports temple restoration and religious tourism under its cultural diplomacy efforts. Indian community. Sri Lanka hosts around 10,000 people of Indian origin, PIOs, and about 1.6 million Indian origin Tamils, IOTs. Note: the Jayashri Maha Bodhi tree in Sri Lanka is believed to have grown from a branch of the Bodhi tree, Vihar, under which Buddha attained enlightenment. It was brought by Sanghamita, daughter of Emperor Ashoka. Why are India and Sri Lanka important to each other? India's importance to Sri Lanka. India has shown strong commitment to Sri Lanka's economic recovery, providing an unprecedented $4 billion United States dollars in aid and being the first creditor to assure support for the IMF bailout program. India is Sri Lanka's largest trade partner, leading FDI source, and top tourism contributor. India extended grants and concessional loans, key infrastructure and digital projects, e.g. housing, Kankasantharai Port, digital ID. Sri Lanka's importance to India. Located near key Indian Ocean trade routes, Palm Strait, Sri Lanka is essential to India's maritime security and energy lifelines. Sri Lanka has a central place in India's Neighborhood First policy and MAHASAGAR, mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions, vision. Sri Lanka acts as a buffer in countering Chinese strategic encirclement through the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and port developments, e.g., Hambantota. Additionally, Sri Lanka has supported India's candidature for a non-permanent seat at the UN Security Council, 2028-29. As an active member of regional platforms like BIMSTEC, Indian Ocean Rim Association, Sri Lanka plays a key role in regional cooperation. What are the challenges in India-Sri Lanka relations? Chinese presence in Sri Lanka. China's BRI projects, like the 99-year lease of Hambantota Port, Sri Lanka, raise Indian concerns over strategic encirclement. Frequent visits by Chinese surveillance ships near Indian waters highlight geopolitical sensitivities. Kachathivu Island. The recurring arrests of Indian fishermen near Kachathivu Island by the Sri Lankan Navy, over alleged maritime boundary violations, continue to remain a pressing issue. Kachathivu Island, ceded by the Indian administration to Sri Lanka under 1974 Indo-Sri Lankan Agreement, which barred fishing in each other's exclusive economic zones. However, while the pact permitted limited access for Indian fishermen, differing interpretations of its terms have led to persistent disputes. Ethnic reconciliation. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution of Sri Lanka was enacted in 1987 following the Indo-Sri Lanka Accord. It aimed to devolve powers to provincial councils, particularly in Tamil majority areas. However, Sri Lanka's failure to fully implement this amendment, especially in the Tamil majority northern and eastern provinces, is seen as a disregard for Tamil political rights. Sinhala nationalists oppose devolution, while Tamil groups demand broader autonomy, placing India in a diplomatic bind. Domestic political sensitivities. Domestic political narratives significantly influence foreign policy in both India and Sri Lanka. In India, Tamil Nadu plays a crucial role in shaping policy toward Sri Lanka. Conversely, in Sri Lanka, certain political factions, particularly leftist parties, have historically exploited anti-India sentiments. What can be done to enhance India-Sri Lanka relations? Technology for economic growth. Sri Lanka's growing IT sector offers an opportunity for India to invest in and integrate its services with Sri Lanka's digital economy. Investment in renewable energy. India's expertise in solar and wind energy can help Sri Lanka reduce its dependence on fossil fuels and develop sustainable energy infrastructure. Economic and Trade Cooperation Agreement, ETCA, implementation. Swift implementation of ETCA can reduce trade barriers and boost India-Sri Lanka bilateral trade. Enforcing maritime regulations. Enhanced patrolling along the International Maritime Boundary Line, IMBL, and a dedicated joint working group can help curb illegal fishing and ensure continuous dialogue. What are the challenges in India-Sri Lanka bilateral relations? Suggest a roadmap for deepening the partnership. Prelims. Q1. Elephant Pass, sometimes seen in the news, is mentioned in the context of the affairs of which one of the following? 2009. Mains.